you guys are laughing and cracking jokes, which is nice. I was expecting a much more tight up, uptight kind of vibe. Hey, kawa. That's nice. That's nice. That means that you guys will vibe with me. That's nice. So right there, you're seeing the word at the beginning, but it doesn't mean anything right now at the moment. It's just the beginning of my presentation, and I will move on to the next slide. Who am I? Soki Hilda just introduced me, but I will talk a bit more about that strange. Yes, I'm Robin Malinga, COO of Creatures Animation, but I won't get into that. I'll talk a bit more personally. You know, I am the son of these two people with the most interesting names in the world, Peter and Grace. They're the most common names actually in the world. Yeah, Peter and Grace Malinga, and I am the fourth of 4 boys. There we are. It's a terrible picture, but like they used to line us up like that to take photos, and yeah, those are my brothers. Yeah, there's Daniel, Ronald, then there's me here at the end. That's me, clearly. Then we're aligned in descending order, not in intelligence or looks or anything, just age. And next to me there is Raymond, who is the CEO of Creatures Animation, and we founded the studio together. Yeah, so I am a storyteller, and as far back as I can remember, I've been telling stories from my primary school to secondary. I was always writing stories in some form of way, writing in books. In fact, I discovered when I was asked to come here that I actually still have some of my old books from when I used to write. There are some terrible drawings over there because I'm not the greatest of artists in drawing, but like there's some things there that don't make sense. There's Saminates. I don't know what this stuff is about, but I like to have the books because it's a callback to where I started from and where my storytelling journey begins. And I have several books like these in my life, and just storytelling is what I do. Oh yes, so I do that, and like you heard, I also do music. And here's a picture of me with a very awkward smile. This is me playing bass. But I just wanted to correct you. It's a bass guitar. I know the spelling is BASS, but you know, for just anybody else in the future, it's bass guitar. And so yeah, I've been playing guitar since. Yeah, bass not the thing. So I've been playing bass guitar since, I don't know, high school sometime. And this picture was taken actually by LNF Francis, who is here recording me because he wasn't introduced. I'll also mention him. He's also a guest. He's my guest. Yeah. Along with Chris Abraham over there. Yeah, he came. No. And Mark, what about Mark? Oh, yeah. And that's your fault. Everyone was introducing their neighbor. Did you not know who he was? Yeah. Anyway, so somewhere along the journey in my life, I was in the house writing stories in these books, like I showed you just back here, and I'd been doing that for a long time in my life. But then one time, I bumped into Raymond Malinga, who is my brother, who lived in the same household, and realized that he was doing the exact same thing. And we didn't realize that we'd been doing that for all this time. And so what happened is it was so amazing to have another person who you could tell, oh my God, I have a story. So we started sharing stories with each other. And we used to go into this room we called the Harry Potter room because it was under the stairs and it was really small. And we'd discuss our little stories and exchange. Oh, today I wrote this and I wrote this. And the whole dream was, you know, wouldn't it be cool if someday we could tell these stories and the world would see? Well, granted, these are not the stories that people are seeing or will see. I mean, anyway, but like that was the dream. And so together we founded Creatures Animation. Raymond went and studied animation from Malaysia for 4 years, and that was around the time when we had been discussing this thing. So he was like, what is the dream? And you know, he's a bit older than me, so he was he joined university and convinced my father somehow to let him go and study something about making cartoons. And I don't know what kind of witchcraft he used, but my father accepted. Yeah, so when I got to university, I did not study animation because of other reasons. My witchcraft wasn't powerful enough. But I studied business administration. And, you know, when we founded the company, I decided to use my path to run the day-to-day business of the company and understand how we could actually make this feasible and work out while still being a storyteller and a musician. So eventually, we'll just skip over my awkward smile. We made a film called The Calavan They Ate My Homework. If you've not watched it, it's somewhere on YouTube with the exact same title. And yeah, this is the main poster. And we made this project with a few talented people. The purpose of the project was to gather talent, because there was only two of us working in the garage of our parents' house. The purpose of the film was to gather talent that we could be able to have an actual animation studio that could go out into the world and actually create content. But you know, we made the film, and somehow we got a cast. You know, Martha Kay at the time when I contacted her to join our film wasn't yet the Range Rover girl, so you know, the universe gave us luck and she became famous. The next person we got, I think, was Salvador, whose number I got from Martha because she was now famous, and I was like, do you have Salvador's number? She was like, cool. And I called him and he was like, what? Cartoons? I'm driving, I'll call you back. And then he did call back, and he met us the very next day, which was strange. I guess luck again. Maybe this was where my witchcraft was thriving. I don't know. And you know, he brought on Omara, Daniel, and Faith Kisa is actually married to my brother Raymond now. So yeah, that one there is like, yeah. She was his girlfriend at the time. So I was like, so that became our cast, along with a little cousin of ours who played the role of Chibe, who is down here in the right corner, called Patience. Patience played the role of Chibe. But anyway, we made the film, and like I said, the purpose of the film was to build a team. So we put it out on YouTube. And that was, you know, we just took it as seriously as we could. We started marketing it, trying to make as much noise as possible, because we were trying to see what the future would hold if we were actually to do this thing. And we're doing it with limited resources, but we saw what we could do. And eventually we won a number of awards for the film, and we went to the Cannes Film Festival, which is the biggest film festival in the world. And it's running right now, actually, which is quite the coincidence. But you know, we won a number of awards. And I was glad, because this was doing something that had never been seen. At the time that we made this film, there was no 3D animated black character that existed on the planet. So we were an anomaly. And now today you watch Into the Spider-Verse and it looks like it's commonplace, but it wasn't. And I guess it's the reason why we went around so much. Yeah, so that was me giving you an introduction. So we'll move to story, which is why I'm here. So story. I describe myself as a storyteller, and I'm not sure how many people here are actually in a creative industry or are actually into storytelling, but I'm hoping that what I share, because I'm not trying to make it like a masterclass or a lecture, I just want to share some things that I found interesting, and probably those things will be, hopefully, like one or two things will be able to reach out and help you through your story of life. I do not know, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and see what I have to say. So, how do you tell a story? Well, a story can be told. We tell stories every day. Everybody tells a story. You tell a story. I went to the counter and I ordered this. I saw that nice hot man. Wow, you know how it is. I saw that nice chick, she had this thing, and you'll tell the story to your friend, you know? But all the stories have particular things in common. Your story will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like the story that I just told you about myself So you're probably wondering why I went into details of introducing myself again and going backwards. But what I was trying to do is that I was trying to tell you my story with a beginning, middle, and end. At the beginning, I was born, and I was in a house with 4 boys. And in the middle, somewhere there, I met my brother Raymond in the same house, and we're both telling stories, and that's the middle. And the end of my story ends right here where I'm now telling you about telling a story as a storyteller. Yeah, but that's not the end of the actual story. Probably there'll be part 2 and part 3 later on in life. We'll see. So, I want to talk about characters. In storytelling, it's really important to know what your character wants to achieve in the story. And characters with depth and more compelling characters are the ones who have subconscious levels of desires and needs. Because you could have a character who just wants to be famous, but then a deeper character is a character who wants to be famous but didn't realize that inside all they wanted was attention from their mother. You know, that's the kind of thing that you find. The characters also have relationships between each other. And I just want to briefly talk about things that I found interesting about relationships with characters, because I found that they also kind of apply to our everyday life in terms of people or characters. Let me stick on characters instead of people. Characters that that one character will have friction with, or a character that they'll become friends with. And there are some factors that are usually commonly used, not by every writer or storyteller, but like I use them. This is my way of storytelling. So there is mind. Usually characters will have comparable degrees of intelligence if they are to bond, if they don't bond. Yeah? Then there is money, sense of what money is for and their goals. Then there is morals, sense of what is wrong. This could be religion. Then there's manners, same idea of what is polite or not. You know, I really dislike littering. So if somebody litters, most likely in my relationship status as a person, personally, if that person falls a bit farther away, I can't just be on a board and throw your bottle there. Anyway, that's just personal. Then there's monogamy, same idea of what the relationship is. Some people might be in relationships, but then they don't understand that the other person doesn't exactly mean that the person wants a polygamous kind of thing, but like you have to be in a same understanding of what your relationship with the person that you're in a relationship with is. Then there is Marx Brothers. Ignore that Marx Brothers, the person who made this thing really wanted them to all be M's, but Marx Brothers are like a famous comedy group, like from the 1900s in Broadway, somewhere there. But anyway, sense of humor, same sense of humor. Usually you find that people who crack the same jokes connect. And so I found it interesting that these things are very important when telling stories about your characters, but then they also kind of apply to our lives. And when you look at probably your immediate circles, you might find that these things kind of reflect. And it's not very 100%, because different weights could be applied to different things. To somebody, money might matter more than manners. To another, manners might matter more. So it's just, different weights on different people. But that's character. Next, I will talk about conflict. When writing a character, if your character does not face conflict, the character is not realistic. All of us face conflict in life, in one way or another. We can face conflicts as ourselves, human versus self means you, the human, have conflict internally. I do not want this to happen. I want to do this, but then, I want to be a musician, but what will that mean for my career? Internal conflict. There's human versus human, which is a bit self-explanatory. The person next to you could just be annoying. Yeah. Human versus nature. This would be in a scenario if you watched a movie where there's like a tornado or something like that. Human versus environment. Environment is a bit different from nature, because environment could be the place that we're in. how does Robin feel against the Rotaract Club of Kampala South? You know, I might be like, the vibe doesn't work with me, and that would be a conflict that I would have with you guys. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Yeah. Then there's human versus technology. Some people have a hard time with technology, but that's okay. You know. Yeah. Philip, they're calling me out. I don't know who Philip is, but there's human versus the supernatural. You know, they could be, you know, witchcraft. You know, like how my father did not defeat Raymond's witchcraft to go. I mean, that's a joke, by the way. There's nothing about witchcraft. I'm sorry to just put it. Human versus God. God, why can't I pass my exams or something like that? You know, there's conflict, and this is what makes great storytelling. There's a famous screenwriter called Aaron Sorkin, who, if you ask him probably about anything about script writing, he'll start by saying, where's the conflict? Because that's what it is. You're watching the movie The Batman, his conflict is the Riddler is doing this. You're watching Tangled, the parents don't want this. It's just the way it is. Next, I will talk about dramatization. So, great stories are art. You know, I like to think of them like paintings, and they have the ability to touch you, almost like you can feel the person's spirit within it. But dramatizing story is really important. I mean, I can dramatize the very scenario that I'm in here. I could dramatize the situation of me coming to speak here. You know, the vanilla story would be, I would make a film, and it would be, and then Robin walked into the room, gave a presentation about storytelling, and it ended and he left. The dramatization would be, open scene, Robin seated outside the door. You know, this is not exactly what's happening. Robin is seated outside the door. He can hear the mamas inside. He's tapping his foot. Hilda walks out. 2 minutes left, Robin. Robin only throws a thumbs up. He doesn't say a word to her. He doesn't even look at her. He continues to read his notes. Mama's to himself. Will I be able to do a thing? Then Hilda comes back out. Robin, it's time. Robin walks into the room. Everyone goes silent. Feel that? He slowly makes his way to the pulpit. And then the presentation begins. Alas, the projector isn't working. You know, that kind of stuff. So as in, like, what I'm doing is dramatizing the situation, and that's what makes great storytelling. And that's why you find that a lot of times when you watch based on a true story, it's a bit true. You're like, these guys went all through all that stuff. Most likely they're dramatizing the situation, because the truth is, I did walk in here, but not like that. No one fell silent when I walked here. Okay. I mean, it was nothing of the sort. So, you know, dramatization, I feel like that's one of the things that makes great storytelling. You have to dramatize it to the point that, like, it's interesting. People want to watch interesting things. I want to watch interesting things, and I want to watch an interesting story. I want to write an interesting story, just the way it is. So yeah, at the beginning of my presentation, there was a word, the beginning. And right now, we've reached the middle of my presentation. And I just want to take a moment here and share some, because I really like sharing quotes with people. This is me going a bit off. I like to share quotes, interesting things that I've found in the world. So I'm just going to share with you a few quotes that I've seen. They're totally random, but I write down a bunch of quotes. So I just selected randomly from my grand scheme of things. So, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Albert Einstein. I'm sharing them not to talk on them, just for you to think, because I find them interesting. The people who are successful are the ones who know what to do when luck strikes. Bear McCreary is a film composer. Full stop. Never be comfortable with where you are. Once that happens, you start to go down. You have to be aiming for the next target and the next. Mohamed Salah from Liverpool. Yeah. Then the last one is the ladder to success is only crowded at the bottom, by the late Patrick Bakamale, who was my headmaster at Budo. Yeah. So just quotes just to share. Yeah. So next up, I will talk about using what you know. When you're telling a story, by the way, like if any of you is going to tell a story, because you can tell a story orally and just, because this might help those of you who like to chat a lot, and when you're chatting up people, it might be boring then. And yet I feel like, yeah, and there's also like lying to people about your story and saying, yeah, I swear it was 15 million. What? No. You have to use what you know. And I find it's just basically, it's so simple. Use what you know. We are Africans, and when we are telling stories from Creatures Animation, we basically are drawing from what we know in Uganda, and then you just make it applicable to the world. It's what we did in our short film, and I believe that these are the stories that have the most spirit. And by spirit, I mean like it's almost like a part of your soul has been attached to the thing. Somebody can feel it. You can't exactly know. When you see a piece of content or a painting or whatever it is, or even a pot, you can just tell that there's something extra on top of this thing, and you can also tell when it's vanilla. So for me, I feel like using what you know is one of those things. I mean, this is Mr. Okech, a character from our film, and he's this strict teacher who is very scary and stuff like that. But I didn't have a Mr. Okech in school, but I did have a Mr. Okech in school, because I believe each one of us had that teacher who picks on people and is like, you, what did you do? In some kind of form of way. He might not exactly be this one, but what happens is we're just drawing from what we understand, and that way it's able to resonate with the different people. At least I know in Uganda it resonates. But then you realize in Africa we all have this kind of problem. There is Chibe with his cool smile, hey, and Chibe is the fox in our film. He's the character who you can't trust, the one who's going to let you down, is going to report you to the teachers. I'm not trying to point out anybody, in my class or somebody like that called Job or something like that. But Chibe embodies that personality, and it's just drawing from what we know and understand. So that's just how I feel like that was what makes great storytelling. Limitations, I will say, are, again, this is my point of view, but I feel that creative limitations are very important. You must impose them on yourself, and you might think that being free is great, but it's not a great idea. And, just knowing that you can work within a particular genre or work within this particular amount of time, this budget, hopes to focus you. You might hear somebody else say, be free, do what you want as an artist, but that's their cup of tea. I feel that limitations are very important for storytelling, and in other aspects of life. I would imagine if you're going to do a report and you just want to go crazy at it, I don't know. I don't do much about reporting. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not using what I know. I'm breaking my own rules. So, different avenues to tell a story. I wanted to share this because it's very important to me that people understand that story comes in different forms, and we already know the obvious ways stories are told. I'll probably ask if anybody knows the way that a story can be told. I'll give you the easiest one. There are novels. Anybody got another example? There's a film. Another example. Yeah, you can just shut it out. You don't have to put up behind anything. Poetry. That's a nice one. Yeah. Music. I love that one. Yeah. Another one. Sorry? Gossiping. I guess, but that's nice. I like gossiping. Anyway, who am I to say it's not true? Do you gossip? Yeah. Anyway, so I like that you said music, because I'm a musician, and story can come in the form of a song, that goes something like, I met the chick at the bar, then I went to her house, and then you're telling us, the guy is telling a story of what's going on, and then we had some ice cream, it's like some stuff like that. But specifically in my role as a composer, I find that storytelling is really important in film. And actually,
time up, Ruby.
Time up, eh?
I'm going to request you to bring your story around.
My story still has time on. Anyway, okay, so music is a way that a story can be told, and sorry, this is me again with that awkward smile, but damn. So this, I'm going to play 1 minute of this. So this is some music that I worked on. It's a cover of a composition by a film composer called Michael Giacchino from a film called War for the Planet of the Apes. It's called Exodus Wounds. And what I want you to do when you're listening to this is just think about the emotions that the music makes you feel, because that in itself is storytelling. I'm going to use this microphone and hope that it works with